Hey, what is going on guys? RvzStealth here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about Volibear in patch 6.9 and why I think he is definitely one of the best picks right now. So Volibear has a very high win rate for solo queue. He's got a 56% win rate right now, which is the highest for any jungler in the game. And I'm going to go over why I think that is and why I think that Volibear is a great pick right now. So Voli is a very strong jungler pretty much at all stages of the game. His early game is great because he's got great clears in the jungle. He can gank pretty effectively too. His ganks aren't the best, but he can definitely pull off some good ganks, especially once he does get his chilling smite. His mid to late game is absolutely insane once he does pick up his core items, and if he does end up getting Spirit Visage and Warmogs, the amount of health regeneration you're going to have with him is just absolutely crazy, and it's going to be so hard to kill a Volibear late game with his passive and when he does have Spirit Visage, just because of all the regen he's going to be getting. He's also a bruiser jungler, so you don't even need to build a single damage item on Volibear, and you can still deal so much damage. I usually do like to go 1 or 2 damage items on him, maybe a Sterix or a Titanic Hydra, but if I'm behind or if I'm going even, then I'll just go full tank most of the time. Like, even if I'm ahead, I'll still go full tank sometimes, and I can still do really well. And on top of that, guys, Cinderhulk also did get a buff this patch, so that just ultimately makes Volibear stronger because he wasn't one of those junglers who could go Runic Echoes and then go Sunfire Cape after that. So the buff to Cinderhulk does help him out a lot, and that's why I do think his win rate did increase this patch. And lastly, he is also a very easy to play champion. You're really not gonna mess up when you are playing as Volibear. You might like try to go for the flip on the enemy champion and hit a minion, but the point is, guys, he is a very easy to play jungler, so you're really not gonna mess up when playing him very often. The rune page I am running on Volibear this patch is the page I run on pretty much every single AD jungler in the game. I go 80 marks, armor seals, magic resist glyphs, and then the attack speed quins. This is a standard page that you can run on pretty much every single AD jungler. So if you don't have the IP to spend on runes, then I would definitely recommend using this page. Now, as for the masteries I take on Volibear, I run a pretty standard page. However, it is a little bit different than if I was playing someone like an Amumu or a Gragas. So the thing I do change in my page for Volibear is I take Swiftness instead of Legendary Guardian in the Resolve tree. Now, the reason I do this is because Swiftness gives you plus 15% tenacity and slow resist. So this is just really effective because the one main con to Volibear is that he can get kited pretty easily. So if you have this mastery on and you also get boots of swiftness, then it's going to be very hard to kite the Volibear, and you're just going to do a lot better in those team fights, especially if you are going up against an enemy team who does have a lot of crowd control. And I am also taking Runic Armor here instead of Veteran Scars. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because Runic Armor increases your health regeneration by 8%, so this is really good for Volibear's passive, and that's pretty much the main reason why I'm taking it. Now, as for my build on Volibear, the build does differ with the game that you're playing. Obviously, you're not going to want to build the same thing every single game, but I will put a sample build up on screen for you guys right now. So pretty much every single game, I am going to go for either the Deadman's or the Spirit Visage after I do finish Cinderhulk. Now, if the enemy team does have a lot of AD champions, then obviously take the Deadman's. If they do have a lot of AP, then go for Spirit Visage next. And then after that, after I do build those 2 core items, it's pretty situational after that. You can go more tank, or if you are ahead, you could go for a damage item. If you are doing really well in the early game, let's say your team is just absolutely stomping, you're 10-0, then after Cinderhulk, you could go for something like a Sterix or a Titanic Hydra, but I really don't think it's necessary on Volibear because you already do a load of base damage. And as for boots on Volibear, I do take boots of swiftness every single game. And to round out the video, guys, I am going to give you guys a few tips for when you are playing Volibear. So I really, Volibear isn't a very complex champion, so there aren't any mind-blowing or complex tips that I can give you, but nevertheless, when you are playing Volibear, make sure to go aggressive in the early game. He is really strong early, and he can out-duel pretty much every other jungler in the game because he does have his passive. So if you are playing up against a weaker early game jungler, definitely look to go for the invade on them. Also look to gank and farm about the same in the early game, like 50-50, gank 50% of the time, farm 50% of the time, because you can definitely pull off some good ganks as him once you do get that chilling smite. Also, make sure you do use your crowd control at the right times in the jungle when you are playing as Voli. If you do start Krug in the early game, then you are going to get that stun every 5th auto attack, and therefore you should never be using your fear at the same time that you stun the creeps, because that's going to mean you're going to take more damage in the jungle. So just make sure you spread your CC out. Once you do stun the big creep, then wait for it to run out and then use your fear so you do take the least amount of damage. Never be afraid to go for that flash flip when you are ganking in the early game as Volibear too. The reason being is if you do go for that flash flip, you're pretty much guaranteed to burn the enemy summoner as long as your laner does follow up, and then after that you can just look to camp that lane, and since their flash is down, it should be a pretty easy kill once you do come back again. And same goes for when you do get to mid to late game, guys. Never be afraid to go for that flash flip engage as Volibear. If you do see the enemy squishy caught out of position, then if you can get that flash flip off, it could end up winning you the game right there. And lastly, guys, if I were to give Volibear a rating out of 10 as to how strong I think he is right now, I would probably give him a 9 or a 9.5 out of 10. So that is going to be all for this video, guys. Be sure to let me know down in the comment section below if you do like this type of video. Would you like to see me do another one of these for a different champion? Or I could also do these kind of videos if a champion gets buffed, and I could go over whether or not I think they are going to be strong in the coming patch. So that is going to be it, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe if you have not already. So thanks for watching, guys. Have an awesome day, and I will see you in my next video.